How you doing, Monica?
I'm fine. I'm on the road with my dogs and my bunnies and my teenagers and a lot of glare. But I'm
Well,
trying to, yeah.
I was just going to say we need to be pretty transparent as well. You
Oh,
don't,
come on. Don't make
right?
me complain.
You're what we call a professional. I get this mess. I get this message from Monica. I send her some ideas, and she's like, "Listen, I'm giving you a heads up. I don't feel great. What's up, John Jasper from the UK?
Hey,
Uh,
JJ from the UK.
you're like, I don't feel great. I've got some migraines setting in, and I go, hey, we can reschedule, and you're like, absolutely not. People expect us to show up, and I am there. So you are here. You're playing injured. You're like an
Yes,
NFL football player.
exactly. You gotta play injured. I learned that in investment banking. That was usually because I was hungover. I'm not hungover. I'm on location in like the desert in California near where Coachella is. And so I relocated here. We came out here. We Airbnb this place, and every once in a while, rarely, it is it is available. So it was my husband's birthday. So we came out and I had to go on the road with my teenagers and my bunnies and my dogs. And
Who has you take your pet bunnies with you?
I had to because I call them my daughter's therapy bunnies.
Okay.
So when the corona times set in, like it was tough on people and they were getting socially isolated. So I was like, what are the smallest bunnies you can find? She wanted a bunny. She wanted a cat. My husband doesn't like cats. So we got these Norwegian dwarf bunnies. And what were we going to do with them? So we took them with us. And let me just tell you, 3 teenagers, a mom, 2 bunnies, and 2 golden retrievers in one vehicle, or as my son with Down syndrome calls it, a venicle. What he thinks the H is an N. So anyway, it was the freak. I thought the bunnies were going to die of a heart attack because there are these predators like hovering over their little cage on the way out for 2 hours. But anyway, so there's something wrong with like the bed here or something, but I woke up with like a pinched nerve or I don't know what the hell. And I have some like migraine medicine laying around, but I didn't want to take it because I thought I would be even sillier than usual if I had that.
Well,
you can maybe see those are the mountains and the desert in the background.
We can't see, but I appreciate you using your words to explain it. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. And Franny said, and Ricardo.
Oh, Franny's here. Ricardio. Yes.
Ricardio.
That's my husband.
Oh.
It's not Ricardo is not his name, but I call him Ricardio, which is the Ice King's heart from Adventure Time. Anyway. He doesn't want me to use his real name.
Oh, so you have to come up with fake names.
So and cardio, like he's like heart cardio.
Oh.
A little Spanish.
That is so sweet.
Yeah.
Are you a sweet person at heart? Or are you kind of cut and dry? Little.
What do you think, Fran?
I think
no, I'm not. I'm really trustworthy and I'm like kind. I'm not cruel at all, but I'm like a huge pain in the ass and probably very hard to, because I'm just like, what do you mean you couldn't figure it out? Did you try to figure it out?
Oh, no.
Could you? Oh, yeah. Like I'm relentless because I'm too analytical. I'm too analytical for a mom. Moms are supposed to be a little fuzzier, but I'm like, whatever.
Franny says, I love you. And I don't know if she's talking to me or you.
I'm not mushy. They all love you, Clint, because you're nice to me and they love me.
Well, that's good. That's good. I've told you 100 times. These conversations, I have about 5 to 8 a week. This is my social life. I don't get to get out of the house. Hey, I got tested for COVID this week.
Oh, how'd it go? Nice.
I'm negative.
Did you have symptoms?
So was my daughter. So no, but my daughter was at school and she was around a group of kids. They all got tested and 2 of them are pretty sick. 2 of them are pretty bad sick right now.
Right. And they have like a cold flu kind of illness.
Yeah. And it came on really fast. And so we went and got my daughter tested.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are better.
These are better?
Yeah, they're
Less
not
glaring?
well, there's not as much glass. Well, unless you're going to look up like that.
Well, because I can't see. They're progressives.
Well, if you're going to look up, then it
can't
doesn't
see.
matter.
No. How about no glasses at all? Is that okay?
I mean, we get to see more of your face, which is a great thing.
I can't see it at all, though, so I have no idea. What I could have like spinach in my teeth, and I would not know. So how about that? I'll just trust you, but I'm not reading the comments this week.
Well, we're in trouble then. But we both got tested. She's negative. I'm negative, but several of her friends aren't. So we've just come to the conclusion, because it's free here and it's so easy to go. I don't get to hang out with her as much as since COVID. So we're just going to go get tested about once every 2 weeks. And when she's negative, well, she's going to get to come to my house. If she's negative and I'm negative.
Oh, that's great.
So whether it's real or not in everybody's world, at least it'll put some peace of mind.
Look, I mean, people get sick. There's no question about it. But here's the thing that I am curious about: your observations. I'm not looking for statistically sound samples or anything, but in my personal experience and observation, there has been zero, if not negative, correlation between illness and a positive test. People who went, everyone I know who went because they felt ill came back with a negative. And people I know, I mean, there are a couple of people, and many people have given me the same report, who didn't even get the test. They didn't want to wait on the 2-hour line. So they left after signing up, and both got a letter in the mail saying they were positive. So there's no correlation between positives and illness in my personal experience. And I'm curious about yours.
I think the 2 kids that already had symptoms when they went and got tested, they came back positive. They came back for positive. And like me and my... And
no other sick kids were... none of the sick kids were negative. That's what I want to know. Find out.
I don't know. I don't have a clue yet. Well, but now that she's got this many friends, I mean, it's a 30-something, it's a group of 30-something people they've shut the school down for the next week. So in her group, she will give us some anecdotal feedback, and I can start keeping track without using names. And I can probably have a better feel for that next week, because this just happened this week.
You know what else I'm curious about? How many people who got flu shots are ill? Because the season for what's called acute flaccid myelitis, which they say is an expected symptom of asymptomatic COVID in kids, but it is an actual symptom or something similar to it, to a complication of the flu vaccine. So people come down with acute flaccid myelitis from August to November. And in my opinion, that's because that's when you get vaccinations. They go back to school, they get their vaccination. So I am curious if people get the flu shot and then feel flu-like symptoms, which is a common side effect of flu shot. And then they go get their tests, and maybe there's false positives related to that. Like AIDS has false positives related to hepatitis.
Well, you've lived in the South, so you know this is the time of year for allergies too. There's about a 45 to 60 day period in the fall, a 45 to 60 day period in the spring, whereas the seasons change, the ragweed and the pollen, especially going into spring, it's pollen. But the allergies here right now are terrible. So you've got everybody coughing and sneezing and
oh my gosh,
watery eyes.
Actually, those symptoms, to the extent that you do get illnesses from people, regular breathing and singing and stuff, is we were never taught about that as a kid. But coughing and sneezing would be, if an infectious disease were to perpetuate itself, that would be just the kind of symptom that would favor the longevity or the transmissibility of a disease. So
did you see the video of that lady at the football game watching her son play football?
No.
So she was watching her son play football, and it looked like she was sitting next to someone, but those 2 people were away from everybody else, but she didn't have a mask on, and she got arrested. And they actually used a little stun gun on her because she was going against it. But then my buddy posted a picture of Fauci sitting between 2 people with his mask off.
Right. Yes.
And said, hey, what's wrong with this
what was she arrested for?
She wouldn't put the mask on.
Crime was, but I mean, what did they call that crime? Not obeying.
She just resisted, I think. But there's always a story behind it.
Because here's the thing: for that kind of a problem, we have our common law system has tort law, which is if you did something that put other people in danger, you are responsible. You are liable not only for compensating them for the damages you actually caused, but sometimes punitive damages on top of that. So to make that into a crime, I would like to know. I mean, your crime is that you're required to do something that you're not doing. I mean, this is very
I don't know how you arrest somebody.
groundbreaking.
Yeah. Criminal trespassing, they said, not being unmasked. Oh, okay. There we go. So the video, I watched the video, and the guy that was taping it was actually saying all this just because she's not wearing a mask. Come on, man. And that's the live commentary.
Oh,
but Franny,
right.
There we go. Thank you. Your fans are smarter than me, man.
So read it. You got to read it.
James, I don't have to. I could just let you get. James says that Clint's super smart and he thinks that I'm awesome. I'm just kidding. James didn't say that at all. But since you can't read,
my mom,
you don't have a clue since you can't read.
I can't read. I'm functionally illiterate right now.
She was arrested for trespassing. Thinks she was asked to leave and she refused. Well, they got her out of there. I can tell you that. The commentary while the guy was shooting the video was a little bit different. What he was saying live.
I'm not surprised. That kind of thing. I never know if it's that happened and it was seized upon by the mainstream media to make some confusing point that'll increase tension among the people, or if it's a setup. I never know. I'd have to watch it myself.
Well, now I changed tactics a little bit because when you sent me the warning shot across the bow of I'm not feeling good.
I'm not feeling good.
I know, but you might want to go a little light. I was bringing up light topics and you go straight down. You can't help it. You can't help. Your brain can.
My program director taught me in the beginning, he said, you cannot let people say stuff that you don't agree with and not say, I disagree. He said you will own that and it's not okay.
Oh, I agree with it. I'm just saying, I've got a little list of lighthearted stuff I was going to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
But Monica, you can't do it. You can't do it.
The only not lighthearted thing I want to talk about, and maybe I haven't been able to check the news, maybe these guys, I'm sure they will be able to tell me what's the latest on the great Dr. Paul. He had what looked like a stroke.
That was hard to watch.
Really didn't want to watch it because I think it's voyeuristic and rude, and I wasn't going to watch it. But I made myself watch it, I think, because I felt it was important to know the truth about something that people might be telling untruths about. But boy, it looks absolutely no question about it. What it appears to be what they're reporting. But hopefully he's fine. I saw him smiling with both sides of his face.
I hope he's okay. That was a hard video for me to watch, though, because
have you seen people with strokes before?
No, not like that. My grandfather had a stroke, but he had the stroke, and then I was there shortly afterwards, but not in the. I mean, that video was him having the stroke.
I know, in real time. That was crazy, and I've heard that.
He was confused. He was like, I can't. What I'm hearing is not what. Oh, it was hard.
What it is exactly what people have described who've had strokes. That you think you're speaking and you're saying just gibberish. And boy, was it Daniel McAdams who was with him? His trusty sidekick was clearly scared. But I think what are these guys saying?
TIA, Dr. Paul. TIA. I don't know what that's held on. I should have gone and got my glasses. TIA. Not sure what that medical term means.
I can't do it.
It's a medical term. TIA. I'm going to look it up right now. Let's just look it up and see what it means.
Cheerleaders in the background had no masks on.
TIA stroke. I don't know what that means. Huh. We'll have to look it up. This is good. Good podcasting right now.
All right. So maybe I should have just taken the day off. I especially care about JJ in the UK because he doesn't get to do the live streams that I do on Friday night. So it's my way of like feeling like I'm hanging out with those guys and Franny and JJ Boogie. And now we have others joining the fun, James, and maybe even my mom.
Well, let me read this to you real quick. It's called a mini stroke. It's really
I thought maybe it was a mini stroke.
Yeah, it's really a major warning. A TIA is a temporary blockage of blood flow to the brain, but it's not considered major, but it's the sign that other things are coming.
Well, that's great that he got ahead of it. Hopefully, maybe he didn't. I mean, a guy who's 85, you would think would be on blood thinners just generally, although I think you can really use natural methods for that. Let me just put it this way. When you're on blood thinners, they tell you not to eat leafy greens.
Yeah.
And they can measure if you have like the clotting factor and stuff like that. So maybe he was trying to control blood clots with leafy greens and stuff, and maybe now he'll just go on blood thinners. Who knows? I'm speculating.
I
wildly.
take a baby aspirin every day because I've had some blood clots in my legs.
Do you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not that anybody cares.
No, let's talk more about that. My migraine and your baby aspirin.
So I know that everybody tunes in for hardcore stuff, and I
might not post this one to you.
Oh, are you kidding me? Listen, I was going to ask you about the Trump email you sent, things you don't like about Trump. I was going to talk to you about Biden, Ukraine, and Russia.
You're doing that just because I've got one lobe tied behind my brain.
No, I wasn't going to have
to do the Trump stuff.
I was not going to have any pushback. I just wanted you to explain to my listeners and your listeners the 5 things you didn't like about Trump. And I did want to call out Joe Biden and the world that we live in, and the hypocrisy of everybody saying that there's been collusion, quid pro quo over here with Trump. And Joe Biden is the one that's got the ties to Ukraine and Russia.
Please, I really wanted to investigate the Hunter Biden thing. I really am totally incapacitated with this little whatever it is.
John Ballinger said docs call them shots across the bow. Thank you, John.
Nice.
Ballinger. Yeah.
Good. Great. Let's get another 10 years out of Dr. Paul.
Yeah.
But I did a lot of work. I don't know if you were in the mix back then, Clint, but I did a lot of work on the Bidens and Ukraine, and some of the stuff I was spot on about, and some it was just too squirrely, but it goes so deep. It goes into billions of dollars of IMF money. It goes into billions of dollars in Privat Bank, which Kolomoisky ran into the ground and the government took it over. Now Kolomoisky is suing the government for billions. Meanwhile, Zelensky was a TV star on a station that Kolomoisky ran, kind of like Jeff Zucker and Donald Trump. And the Burisma guys I think Kolomoisky indirectly owned Burisma as well. There were shell companies in Cyprus, and the Bidens and the Kerrys were knee deep in some of these transactions. Also, that fucking, what was her name? That the ambassador,
mom is so upset with you right now.
I know. Well, she's probably worried. It's she doesn't feel good. But so that ambassador, that chick, George Kent, they all came up in my story before they came up in congressional hearings as being knee deep in this stuff. Soros, amazingly, there was just so much corruption there, and Soros's fake anti-corruption league, which was being financed by the U.S. government as well as Soros, was pressuring the Ukrainian government to not actually investigate this stuff. I mean, it's just... that's the Bidens.
Franny just said the prop report broke the Hunter Biden story way long time ago.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. Before the impeachment, for sure.
Yeah. And I'll say this, since you can't fight back right now, and all your friends can. I do believe that one of the reasons, and Trump's done a lot of things that I don't like. And by the way, a lot of the stuff you sent, I agree with. I don't think it's the best. I don't think it's.
You can read the list.
I could, and I will before we get off. But I will say, though, I do think it's odd when we say they're all, it's all one big thing. It's all one big chess game. But Trump right now is being used to distract from Biden. He's being I believe that Trump is either being used and doesn't know it, or he truly is the anti-system, and he's doing things he has to do to stay part of the game.
I think Trump has a role to play. I don't know if he knows all the nuances of that role. I'm pretty sure he does not care. And I feel confident that, especially now that the Biden-Poroshenko tapes came out, that the Trump Zelensky tapes were completely crafted to take the sting out of the Biden-Poroshenko thing. So I think I honestly think Biden is the one that is running against Trump with no expectation of winning. No. I think they allowed him to do that so that he would not go to jail for the corruption in Ukraine and China. So it looked like a political witch hunt, when in fact it would have been a legitimate corruption probe that would not, about Devin Archer. I got to tell you this, there were 4 people in the Biden financial thing that had to do with, I think, some Ukraine and some China. But Devin Archer was also on the board with Hunter Biden. Devin Archer, Hunter Biden, James Bulger III, Whitey Bulger's nephew, and Chris Hines, which is John Kerry's stepson. All four of those guys, which I consider to be a complete front, were in this financial thing together. Devin Archer, along with guys he was in another financial scam deal thing with, all those guys got convicted and sentenced to jail for a major fraud. Of all the guys who got convicted, Devin Archer, a judge reheard the case or heard the appeal. Her name was Ronnie Abrams, and she just commuted his sentence or overturned the conviction or whatever. A quick wiki search of Ronnie Abrams finds that she's married to a guy, I think his name is Greg Andre, who was number 2 on the Mueller investigation. So this Devin Archer, Hunter Biden, all those connections are obviously, in my opinion, very corrupt. There's another thing with Joe Biden's brother, Jim, and I think Hunter, another fraud thing. They were deep in with that Sanford guy who was a fraudster bigger than Bernie Madoff. He was in Connecticut, and he had an actual financial partnership with the Bidens, this guy who's serving something like 150 years for fraud. So the real investigation into the Bidens will never happen because Biden is running. And I think that's why he's running. That's how bad it was.
Well, and they messed up several times the last few weeks, and even Kamala Harris and Biden have called it the Harris-Biden ticket instead of the Biden-Harris
Did they mess up, or are they just playing games?
I've said this. We all know. We all know. Hey, and just for fun,
what do we know? What do we all know?
Biden's not going to be the president. If he wins, he's not going to be the president. I've said that for 7 months. Yeah. He's not going to be the president. I still listen until it's election day. You're not even sure
he's going to be on the ballot.
I'm not even sure he's going to be one of the people there. Go check out another podcast. Dan Bongino does a great job of the FBI, the Russian investigation that they had into Trump, the new text messages that are coming out in the FBI. And I've listened to Dan Bongino for a long time, but he's done a great job at tracking that down.
But why is that topic so important?
Well, because it's starting to show that it came from the White House, the Barack Obama White House. It was a investigation. It was over $30 million spent on trying to get that's a coup, trying to get a president that was elected out of office. That's horrible. And then they followed it up, or they were trying to, in the Russian investigation, they were trying to get evidence so they could impeach him. And so was the Ukraine thing. John Jasper, this show is the highlight of my Saturday night. And it's an honor to have you two and Play Injured to bring it to us. Oh, hey.
Actually, to tell you the absolute truth, I knew it would cheer me up. I thought, what am I going to do? Sit around and feel sorry for myself? I could just have a couple of Advil and some extra caffeine, and I think it would distract me.
It's been proven. It's been proven that I can help your headache, but I'm a pain in the ass.
Good for the head, bad for the ass.
Bad for the wow, easy.
I don't know. You're a pain in the
easy.
ass. That is one of my mother's expressions. She's a pain in the ass. But then she stopped using vulgarity, and now everybody's supposed to stop using vulgarity.
Did your mom used to use vulgarity? Did she used to be like a sailor's mom? Oh,
yes. She used to say, "Son of a bitch and bastards."
Well, what precipitated the change?
I think hearing her adult children use it, which of course is my problem. I hear my teenagers use it, and I was like, "Don't." That's why I was supposed to quit.
What's up, Daryl Jackson? Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Daryl.
Okay, Russian Biden. Since we'll end the show. Here's how we'll end the show today.
Okay.
I'll tell everybody how to find you, but right before that, I will read the things you don't like about Trump. You don't have to give feedback. We'll let it sit there for a week. You'll get feeling better, and then next week we'll tackle it.
Okay.
Because if I bring it up now, you're not going to be able to help yourself, and your brain will explode.
I will. My brain might explode. That is what it looked like happened to Ron Paul. Like he was like explaining the Fed, and his brain exploded. And then I was noticing it was like which side of his brain exploded, and the right side of his face looked a little messed up. Yeah. And I thought that means his left side of his brain exploded, which is the mathy side. I know because I have that.
I think it comes from talking.
If anything's going to explode, it's going to be mine.
Talking to stupid people too much. You may have one right now.
Me? Oh, I love you, Clint. There is absolutely no way that you do anything but make my emotional IQ and my intellectual IQ.
I will be honest with you. Sometimes I ask and act and say dumb things because that's who I am. And then sometimes I'm educated enough to know the answer, but I just like doing
Oh
this.
yeah, no, you're a real professional.
I like going.
I know what you're doing, but I have to
So
say,
why
I
would
have
you vote for Trump? I'm just kidding. That's what I like to
Why are
do. You have a lot of friends or a
aggravating
lot of people that do
a
what?
lot of people who they want to show you the light. They want to send you books and stuff, but I won't let them because it wouldn't be as fun.
Hey, I know one thing we got to talk about. And if you're watching this and you tuned in, next week we're going to hit the Trump stuff hard. Monica's got one brain lobe tied behind her back.
And it's not a hangover. That kind of plate injured. I take pride in being able to do that. But this is just like I don't know what the hell, migraine.
I do have one for you. You did have a tweet and you tagged me in it that you were getting some hate.
Oh, what was it?
I don't know. You said, Clint, I must have pissed him off. And then I said,
oh, yes. So our last video last week, there were, for the first time ever, we have over 20 videos. Our first time ever, I got a couple of thumbs downs.
That bothered you, didn't it?
It really hurts my feelings because I feel like we're all friends here. There is absolute, I named it like, can we all be friends, please? Right. So I assume that people didn't like that I said that Ronald Reagan saved the gold standard. I mean, saved the Fed.
Yeah. Here's my theory on people that don't like the things that, us. If they don't like me, that's one thing. If they don't like you, they're stupid. If they don't like us, I could care less. If y'all watch this and you think a thumb down hurts my feelings, you can eat a bag of ass. How's that?
Well, yeah. What?
Oh, I said a bad word.
Oh my God. Like that's a whole bad concept. That's got a lot of imagery. Yeah. But yeah, no.
Have at it.
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Well, that was one of the tweets you put out there, Clint. I think we've made some people mad, and I'm okay with making people mad. But here's what I think. I think we have conversations that are good enough that we get people thinking, and you do introduce me to new ideas. Ice or I'm not going to Franny ask ice or ass. I don't know about eating a bag of ice. Unless I really want to hurt your teeth.
Hey, my dogs eat ice. Tell me if anybody's listening who knows whether or not it's bad for me to let my dogs eat ice. They beg for ice all day. It's not bad for their teeth or anything?
I don't know. Don't listen to me. I'm not.
All right, I'm ready. I feel like my Advil's kicked in. My Hava has kicked in. And if you read, because I can't read, if you read the Trump stuff, I think we can get some action.
And then we'll do I want to talk about the gear where people can buy your coffee mugs and stuff too before we
okay.
Did you bring any of that with you? You don't have any of that with you, do you?
No. But I do actually. I have some people sent me a t-shirt, the Rye Guys.
Oh, you've been doing a lot of Swapcast and other podcasts.
Yeah. So people send me t-shirts and I feel like I'll wear them. And this one he made just for me. I wonder if you can see it. I'm going to try to see. Can you see?
Nope.
Okay.
We see propaganda.
He's got all of these famous quotes about propaganda and prostitutes and Mark Twain and stuff. It's very sweet. I like it.
And prostitutes.
Prostitutes.
Oh, I thought you said from like, where did that come from? What kind of podcast are you doing?
Prostitutes.
So Monica sent me this.
I am a libertarian, so I don't have any problem with prostitutes. Honest ones.
Not those line prostitutes.
Not the prostitutes I've got a problem with, but the ones who.
Yes. So I asked Monica for 5 things that she didn't like about Trump, and she sent me 6. And then a 7th one as a little bit of a smart aleck. Oh, you only wanted 5. So I'll just read them, and this is just for you. So if you want to expound on them, you can. If not, you don't have to worry about it. He signed off on trillions of dollars of deficit spending pre-corona and 4 trillion since, all to restructure our economy to fight the invisible monsters.
What do you think about that? I mean, what could be more important than? Are you familiar with the fact that General MacArthur said to John F. Kennedy that the only way to beat this country, that our national defense is our economy. And if you want to actually destroy this country, you must destroy the economy. And now that's exactly what I agree with that. And that's what Trump is doing with a lot of help lot of help, but he's not stopping it. He's no Batman. And that this is the beginning of this is the end. This is the regime change.
So you think it would have been, we were heading down the same road prior COVID?
I was predicting this before the coronavirus. I was predicting that what they were doing with the interest rates and everything. I said, that 2008 thing, they kicked the can. They're 11 years into an expansion and the interest rate is at 2%. What are they going to do when growth tops out? Like, because what happens with these business cycles is
it'll go in a cycle. The economy always goes in a cycle.
I know, but normally, right. So I'm telling you, I was looking at this a year ago. Normally, every single time, as a matter of fact, this is their so-called business cycle. It's really a Fed cycle. They at 10 years say it peaks and interest rates. So interest rates are low to start out with. It gets people building. As they build, the Fed lets the interest rates go up a little bit to slow down the building. But still building outpaces. So production outpaces consumption, or supply outpaces demand by the end of that 10-year cycle. And then it crashes. And what the Fed does is to start that cycle back up again, is they lower the interest rate. And I did the analysis, and the interest rate on average was the Fed cut the rate by an average or a minimum of 5 percentage points over a 2-year period to get the cycle started again. So when we hit the longest peacetime expansion, according to their numbers, at 11 years last year, I said, gee whiz, a crash has to be coming. It has to be coming. And then I looked and the interest rates were at 2%. Yeah. So it's like, how you can't cut it at all. You're going to have negative interest rates. I wonder if they'll even be able to kick this can past the election. What will they do? What excuse will they use to lower interest rates before the election without betraying a collapsing economy? And this is what happened. And that's what those deficits are all about. Because if you look at it, they're not about health. They're not about health. Yeah. That's why there's no science behind what they're actually doing. They're quarantining everyone. They're actually stopped everybody from producing. So maybe it was just all that overproduction, whatever. They're bailing out all their buddies in the debt, and they will in the end oligopolize like every single industry and be the lender of last resort for every industry, every business that stays standing. All the mom and pops will go away. And then what they will have, and I include Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum as what they will have is they will be able to take the few businesses that remain in every space and say, hey, we want surveillance, we want cooperation, we want vax tats or retina scans or whatever. We want a highly controlled society that everyone from Brzezinski to Klaus Schwab have described in detail. And that's what they're going to get. It has nothing to do with a disease. And Trump is the one who's convincing that Max the Australian says it's a patriot appeasement program. He's keeping you in line.
So I think I know why we have come to this point in our system.
Oh,
right. Yeah. I think I know why we're here.
Do tell.
I think it's because being elected and keeping the power in-house, the election season now is all the time. And here's what I mean by that. We're always getting Congress is up for election. You know, we got the Senate, we got the House, we got the president now starts 2 years prior. So now everybody in power is so vested in getting elected and generating the money and the power, keeping hold of the power, that they have to have the economy look a certain way. And if it does tank, and instead of being at natural, nobody can come out and go, hey, I know the economy is not great, but that's a natural process of the economy. Elect me again. The cycle will come back around. We, the people, don't like that. We're like, no, it's bullshit. The economy's bad. We're voting you out. It's the economy, stupid. Well, now they're doing
that's why I liked Harding and Coolidge and not Hoover and FDR, which we talked about last week. But Harding and Coolidge continued to hold the records for landslide votes. So what you're saying is a narrative that I think people want you to believe, but maybe the world has changed so much that it's not even true anymore. But it reminds me of the show Breaking Bad. Like they said that HBO wouldn't take it because it didn't have enough sex. AMC took it. without the sex, and it became the most popular TV show ever. It's not the people who are driving that hunger. It is the politicians who want us to think that they're doing it because of how we are, but it's not.
What I'm saying is I agree with that. I think they're having to blame the natural cycle, which goes up and down, the ebb and flow. When it flows, when it goes down, they can't just say that's just the way things go. They can't just say that's the economy.
I'm not actually even sure there is much of a natural cycle.
But I think they have to come up with Corona. Maybe that may be the case. But whatever normally happens every 8 to 10 years that we know happens, we look back on history and we go, every 8 to 10 years, the economy it readjusts itself. And instead of them saying, hey, it's an election year, but the economy's readjusting itself, they have to now manufacture things so they can say, this is why the economy's bad. It's not our policies. Reelect us. And once this crisis is passed, the economy will bounce back. I'll make it great again.
I think you're probably right for the most part.
And if you don't think I'm right, thank you for agreeing and making me feel smart for a little once.
No, I think when you actually talk to or try to get insight into congressmen and stuff, it's kind of like the skull and bones thing, that it's not like you get the smartest people or the cleverest or the most creative or the leaders. Those are not the people who get the support for these things. It's people who are actually not smart enough to figure stuff out. It's people who think it's what you see is what you get, and they do what they're doing because they don't even realize they're serving another purpose. And actually, even the really smart ones, if their egos are big enough, they will play the game without thinking they could not be manipulated. But in the end, they are manipulated. Now, Trump, I think, knows that there is a game to be played. He's playing it. I'm not sure he knows why. And I'm certain that he either doesn't care or he's fine with it.
Well, but you think of this, and once you get elected into Congress, and I can't remember the number, so somebody will correct me, and I'm going to get it wrong, so I won't say a specific number, but it's thousands and thousands of dollars a week you have to raise to keep the job. For re-election purposes, you have to start raising money day one to get reelected.
But see, Trump won the presidency. I know what you're saying, but let's just think about a little bit something weird. Trump won the presidency without spending a single campaign dollar, and he'd never been a politician before. So I think I know the answer to that, but doesn't
what do you think the answer is?
Well, you're not going to like
He didn't spend any money?
Zero. I wrote an entire
none of his personal money. No,
he didn't raise any money. There was nothing.
No, I mean out of his pocket.
Right? No, nothing. Nobody. So normally, campaign finance is hundreds of millions or billions of dollars, and with him it was zero. There were no. I don't. Maybe there were PACs in the end, but he took no money. There was no campaign fund. Nothing. I wrote I had a whole blog post called "Trump is spending zero and winning," and I just would update it all the time, and you could still find it on MonicaPerezShow.com. Just put in the search box zero, ZERO, and you'll find this really lengthy article that I put in there. And it was I think it's because Jeff Zucker just told people night and day Trump is the worst nightmare for liberals, and that got all the Republicans off the couch. And that's how it works. But I'm just saying the campaign finance thing may be true generally, but it's only true because it's allowed to be true. If the powers that be wanted to take that away from us or them.
I'm looking at the New York Times. It says he spent $65 million of his own cash, well short
in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
In 2016.
Yeah, this article was written in December of 2016. So, but it says, well,
first of all, that was a debt that was repaid, right? So it wasn't really his own cash.
And he said a lot of that money went into paying. That's weird. I better not read that because I'll go down a rabbit hole about him paying his companies. He said he paid his companies that actually.
Okay, well, I wrote this in February.
You put your glasses on. We're in trouble, folks. Clint has screwed up.
I'm way feeling
It's like Superman putting the cape on. Here come the glasses. Bam. The next one, though, while you're looking that up, is going to be a pretty good one for you gun owners out there.
Can we put it here?
Can we put?
Can I make a?
Is it an article or a podcast or a meme or something?
It's my article.
Ooh, I'm sorry.
Look at these crazy giant AOC glasses. I have this very hip, like,
yeah, you got it right here.
He gave me crazy ass glasses. They're so crazy.
It says host a chat. I don't know how to show that. I don't know if somebody else can see it. You sent me a private.
Oh,
message.
You know what? I will send it to the hidden Fran, and she can put it up.
Yeah, or you can send it to me through Facebook, and I can grab it and put it up. Either one.
I just put it through text.
Yeah, but I can't grab that. So send it to Fran. And while you're sending it to Fran, I'll read the second one that you don't like about Trump, because we're going on 40 minutes, and I got to be honest, for somebody that wasn't feeling good.
Sorry.
You're doing really well.
I perked up. I think I wasted a lot of time in the beginning, but that's because I was waiting for that Advil to kick in.
People like the witty banter. They like the chemistry on the online. So we're fine. The sanctions operation, Legend, which is cleaning up illegal guns in cities. There's no such thing as illegal guns.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. You're reading that. I was like, yeah, I got a bone about that to pick. Right. Read that.
Legal guns and feds should not be law enforcement.
Hey, Clint, can you please tell me what's an illegal gun?
Oh, I agree. Me and you would be agreed on this one. Yeah, I agree.
So he's sending feds into cities to grab guns. That's what he's doing. They're defunding the police on the local level.
Right.
And then the feds are going in disarming the people who live in those cities where there are no legal guns. So maybe some criminals have them, but they're probably not going in there starting gang wars, trying to disarm the drug dealers. Every chick or old lady or peaceable guy who lives in a bad neighborhood because just doesn't have a lot of money or whatever, he's probably needs a gun. And who's allowed to have guns in those places? Only cops and retired cops. I'm from New York. There's only cops and retired cops. And they're going in taking those guns away. So now what do you have? You have a real problem. You have anarchy, you have defunded police, you have disarmed citizens. What do you think is going to happen? Martial law. The feds coming down, a federal Department of Police. There's going to be a federal Department of Police.
I think, and that part me and you agree with. So the questions and stuff I'm about to say is just simply for rhetorical purposes. Yeah. But I mean, if you've got felons with guns or people doing crimes, drug dealers with guns, I think, and drive-by shootings, and I'm just saying there's some of those when they do the big sweep of the net, they're getting some of those guns.
Let me just ask you a question.
No.
Let me say, if you should not, I would say it's unconstitutional and it's definitely illegitimate to take away somebody's liberty or property without due process of law, which is $20 worth of value, right? That's
a convicted felon. They've been through the due process of law.
Yeah, if they have lost their gun rights through a jury trial,
right?
Then yes, I think that
I think a lot of those guns come from felons. I don't think all of them.
Yeah, no.
So what happened?
Maybe felons, but I'm saying you need to be adjudicated that you have lost that liberty specifically.
Right. So if I commit a crime with a gun, what should happen when they say they collected that gun?
Yes, I would say I think
that's what they're calling that. If I collect, here's where I think the rub is. Here's where I think the rub is. But here's where I think the rub is. I don't think, first of all, you should, the registration of guns, I think is BS. So what I think they're doing is I think they're getting Clint committing a crime with a gun. The gun's not registered, and that's illegal. When in reality, the illegal part is Clint committing the crime, whether it's with a baseball bat or a gun or a knife. That's the illegal thing. I don't think the gun.
Look, I think the only thing that you should lose a gun for and adjudicated in a jury trial is if you use guns to commit crimes. I would say that is the only way where it's a suitable punishment.
I agree. Look at us. We agree 100%. That's what I'm saying. The act is a crime. What I used to do it with is not.
These sweeps aren't about people who have gone through the due process and lost their rights to have guns. These are cities that have blanket gun control.
That to me is the part I don't get. If you need more help in a gun-controlled city, then the gun control laws aren't working, and so you should.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Change it.
And Bill Barr and Trump are exacerbating the situation by taking guns away, illegal guns away from people who may be trying to defend themselves.
Or it could be they've had 40 or 50 years of being run by Democrats, and Trump and Barr are trying whatever they can to fix it. That's what I'm saying.
Why?
Elect somebody different.
Whoa. Right. Why don't you just
Elect somebody different. It's been run by 50
don't
years.
go there. Don't go there. There's no reason for the
If you
feds
look,
to go
because
in there.
that party's not done you right. Number 3. Now, I'm not sure this is something he's done. It's something he threatens, which I'm not sure means anything. You're smiling.
I can't read anything.
Oh, it says, not sure my phone can do it.
Yeah.
I've got the link. I'll do it later, but if you want to send it to me through Facebook,
I'm going to send it to you through
Messenger,
Facebook.
and I can grab it. Do it
Messenger. Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Okay.
But so this is something he's threatened. So I'm not sure it's something that he's actually done. He consistently threatens to regulate media. This will bring back a kind of fairness doctrine, which will be wielded by both sides against us all. I agree with that too.
Yes. What I don't like about it, whether he's actually done it or not,
he's not done
is that he has generated advocacy for regulation of speech.
Well, okay. The one thing we're going to disagree on that is I don't think he's the first president. I think the media has been advocating for people for different purposes.
And here's the thing:
decades.
When Obama said he was going to bring a fairness doctrine back, people on the right went absolutely bananas because they realized that a fairness doctrine would mean that cities would have to subsidize liberal radio broadcasts, for example. That's the way it was before Reagan got rid of that.
Right.
And then, oh shit. Sorry.
Did you send me something?
I did, but it didn't work. So hold on a second.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, then, so now you have this guy who basically has a cult of personality where every time he does something that on its face makes no sense at all, people say, oh, trust the plan. Trump is Batman, whatever. And I'm saying, he gets people to commit to this position that conservatives need protection from the government by regulating the speech. And that to me is whether he gets it done or the next guy gets it done, you're going to have a whataboutism thing where people say, well, you were in favor of it. He is so influential that he is paving the way for that.
Well, me and you will agree on that. And I think I just posted it. I just posted that article if anybody wants to go look at it. So it's there.
Okay.
It'll take a minute to pop up. I agree with you. I hate when he says that kind of stuff. I don't agree with it. But here's the issue. I'll ask you a question now. I need a solution from Monica. You and I talk about things that we wish were different. And I've always tried to say we have to make some decisions based on the world we're in order to get to the world we want, which means we can't go from the shitty place we're at to perfect what I want. We have to find ways to make little strides, which means I have to make a decision based off the real world I'm living in today. My question to you is, how do you fix the media? How do you get past? Because to be honest with you, it is pretty blatant, whether it's right wing or we don't call things opinions much anymore. I respect the ones that do. I will tell you.
Yeah. That what you want to do is.
And I hate to ask you that with a headache.
No, I feel much better now.
Okay.
Thank you. So what you want to do is, first of all, we're talking about social media. Primarily, social media.
I'm not. I'm talking about NBC, CBS, ABC, because they. I think there was a study said that 91% of the coverage that they have given Trump so far has been negative. There's no way one person can get 80 to 90% all bad headlines unless you just don't like their agenda. It's so obvious to me that the slant nowadays, when you have, it's mostly a peaceful presentation and behind you something's on fire. That's a CNN headline with the banner across the bottom. That's propaganda. That's your wheelhouse. I think a lot of media is being used.
Right. I got it. Okay. So I will tell you, I'll tell you how and what to do. So in the social media realm and the mainstream media realm, in the social media realm, it's very clear if you dig in even a little bit into Google, Facebook. I haven't really cracked the code on Twitter, but given that like Saudi Arabia owns a lot of it, like I'm sure it's in there, is that these companies were chosen. They were incubated. Their patents are protected. They have all of this government advantage, and they go in and they censor and suppress and all that kind of stuff. So if there weren't all of those advantages that they have, which are the exact things that make it so at your grocery store, people can hand out political flyers and you can't stop them, or the grocery or the beggars or whatever can stand there and you can't stop them, because those grocery stores use the police force and use other kind of government, and that's how they've adjudicated it. So you should have freedom of speech in those places. I don't think private companies should be required to provide that. But other private companies are, and I don't even consider it a private company because they've been incubated, nurtured, subsidized by the government, and then the startups who do not get those advantages can't get anywhere. So you've suppressed all competition for those ideas. Similarly, in the mainstream media, there is a long history of government charters. There was an early thing of when it used to be where it started in radio, where if you broadcast on a channel, you owned that channel. It was just like any place where you squat or homesteaded. And the court ruled that they were going to start licensing it because they didn't like the opinions of the people. Should opinions be allowed to be broadcast? No, we need to control the opinions. So once you do that, it's just like a bank. Once you control who's allowed to operate in that space pivots to the guy who can take that power, that license away.
Well, and they also got involved because if your signal went so far and you're from Atlanta and I'm hearing stories and stuff about Atlanta, that's great. But if I'm in Chattanooga or Knoxville at certain times of day, I don't care about the Atlanta traffic. So they made them power down a lot of times to control that footprint.
Yeah, that's they did. In Mexico, they don't do that, right? So like in Texas, you could get all these Mexican stations would just step on the clear channels. And there are a few clear channel stations. WSB is a clear channel. I don't mean clear channel the company owned. Yeah. I mean, they're called clear channel stations. They get a special chart or whatever. There may be, I'd have to think through that.
But how do you motivate NBC to tell the news?
You don't. That's not what you do. That is not the answer, I'm telling you. So the answer is that competition is restricted. And that's why what you need to do is unfetter the whole thing, to have absolutely no charters or licenses or government controls on anything. I got taken down from WordPress because... Steve,
but that's never going to happen. So that solution... it's
never going to happen if you say it's never going to happen. So what you want, so you're advocating because we live. This is exactly the problem with Trump, is that Trump has convinced people who used to have principles, hey man, that's hopeless. I'm going to get you.
I don't think
yours.
I disagree with that.
That's what I've said that for the longest time. Yeah, but that's not. I'm going to get you yours.
That didn't start with Trump. That's been going on for 20 or 30 years in politics.
He got the right to start talking like that. I want mine. He brought identity politics to the right. What about you? Aren't you sick of whatever? He brought all of that pragmatism to the right instead of principles. Principles on a longer timeline are pragmatism. So he is confusing people.
Okay, so my question is, did Bush do that? Did George Bush do that? Did Obama do that? Or did it start
the right to be identity politics?
Convince their followers, their team, because I will submit the Democrats.
Obama is the left, of course. That's what I'm saying. Trump has changed the right from being the party of principle. The Republicans, if they were the people who were voting, thought they were voting out of ideological principles,
right,
into a party where he got people to say exactly what you just said. It's hopeless. The principles, the ideals are hopeless. I'm going to get yours. The trade barriers are the perfect example. We used to want free trade because that was just. And he said, you know what? Screw that. I'm going to get you your job back. Who cares if people pay more for whatever? It doesn't matter. I'm going to forget it. It's time for you to get yours.
So my question is then, if we see we were getting our ass kicked, even since towards the end of Bush, we're getting our ass. I mean, when we look back on the Obama administration, some of the stuff.
Are you thinking I'm advocating for past Republicans?
No.
I'm not. Bush gave us curly.
No. I don't think.
Okay, finish.
I think. But if you look back on where we were headed, we were going. I don't know who we could have put up, because every time we put up somebody like McCain, who I know you had. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Wait a second. Hold on a second. let me finish.
treated
Mitt
the way
Romney, we put Mitt Romney up. Every Republican we've put up, the media that we just wait, hold on a second, let me finish. The media that we just said that is, slanted to helping the left, Mitt Romney was great until he runs for office. Then and I know it's part of politics, but it's different because 80 to 90% of what they were saying about Mitt Romney was fabricated BS too.
No,
we were going to get 8 more years of that left stuff. That left
they
idea.
had to do for Ron Paul, who won Iowa. He won the first primary against Mitt Romney, and he won Maine also. And they didn't come out with the truth about Ron Paul until June. That if the media on the right had treated Ron Paul even with the fear and attack that they treated Trump, they gave Trump the airtime, and the left gave him the airtime too. The left said nothing good about him. The right didn't say anything good. So you have an example right here of Trump where both the left and the right criticized him constantly. Nobody helped him in the media, according to you.
No,
according to your side. Right.
Except Fox
so there you have
podcasts.
They barely did it. They gave him that little thing, but they were full of never Trumpers. The right was full of it. So all of a sudden we have a highly biased thing. We're unprecedented, where the bias was from both sides against one guy. But you know what? They covered it.
Yeah, well, they covered it because
and if they covered Ron Paul, he would have been our president, and things would be a lot different right now.
So we got 2 comments.
Absolutely true.
We got 2 comments, and you can't read, so you got to let me read them.
Okay.
And John Jasper, I agree with what you're saying. He said it's no good arguing that it's never going to happen. First, you understand what happened, what should happen, then compromise to get close. That's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying you can't go from nothing to everything's deregulated right now. I'm saying you have to see where you're at. Where do you want to get to? And you have to, since this isn't possible now, how do we start getting closer to that now?
I think that's the Aristotle thing where where you are and where you want to be, overshoot the goal of where you want to be. So maybe I'm an anarcho-capitalist, but I would settle for restoring the Constitution.
If I want to lose 30 pounds, I've got to put a plan in place and lose a little bit of time. I can't 60? Just lose 30 pounds.
All right. Well, that's all fine. Maybe. But I always say, or I coined the St. Peter test, When you face St. Peter on your judgment day, what is your story going to be? You're going to say, well, I compromise. I like to vote the lesser of 2 evils because I don't like evil, but I like less evil better than more evil. Mm-hmm. And I think St. Peter is going to say, what the hell do you care what happens on earth? Why don't you just do the right thing? That's what you're there for, to see if a little temptation of evil is good enough for you. And to tell you the truth, where we are right now, I think
purity. I mean, you're everything that
there is. Absolutely. Okay. You can stick to your principles right now. And I'll tell you something. I thought for the longest time, maybe I am morally obliged to engage in a tax revolt, to not work in this system because of all the stealing and killing they do with my money. Mm-hmm. And you know what? If I were going to take a biblical bent in how I think about what's happening right now, I would say this is Sodom and Gomorrah, and God, or the Great Flood or whatever, this is a scenario where God looked at our materialism and our compromise with evil and everything that everyone does. Why do you want to compromise with these people? Because you want to keep living in your house without bugs and without having to grow your own food.
I don't want to live with bugs.
Yeah, right. That's exactly right. So
I'll grow my own food though.
We have sold our souls to the devil for this little bit of comfort, a little bit of air conditioning, which I personally love. But we have done that. You have to have air conditioning in the desert. So, but I'm just saying that now it really feels like God has abandoned us. I don't want to put words in his mouth or anything, but. And I'm saying that right. Like it was the simplest thing. It was like, why are you voting for the lesser? Because you want to keep your, your little your picket fence.
People could look at your candidate, Paul, and go, they could find with their definition of things they don't like about him that are evil, that they don't like, that would have, because there's no policy that's not going to affect somebody adversely. There's nothing you're going to do in life that's going to make everybody.
What are you, a subjectivist?
There's an Egan. But you can't make everybody even. It's not,
nobody wants to be even. There are foundational principles of law and morality. I mean, do you understand how religion works? All religions have the same basic tenet, and that is the tenet.
But we and you've talked about this. Who defines those? Who defines?
I'm
the
saying
definitions?
They're objectively true. So you're a
Okay.
subjectivist, which makes you on the left. And that is what Trump has
No,
done
it's
to
not.
the right.
No.
That is what Trump has done to the right. It's made them subjectivists.
But what I'm saying to you is whoever's in charge controls the definitions, and that's not the way it should be.
Wrong.
I'm agreeing
Absolutely
with
not. You and St. Peter control the definition. There's two things. All the religions in the world, basically, or all the really major religions, have two tenets, which we have government supposedly to do. One is you need to control your behavior.
Right.
And the other is you need to help people who are less fortunate than you.
Absolutely.
All the big religions have that. And then I would say on the political equivalent to that is Murray Rothbard's great fundamental law, don't touch me or my stuff.
But here's what I'm saying.
Those are that one is a moral imperative that is self-evident, and the other is the legal truth that is self-evident.
Okay, but I'm agreeing with you, but you got to hear me out. What I'm saying to you is when you say help other people, there are people out there that would look at that and go, okay, I believe helping other people, teach them how to take care of themselves so they're better helped. And other people go, give them what they need so they never have to want for anything. And those definitions both can think they're doing morally the right thing.
Individuality, individual solutions is the best way to approach it. What we cannot compromise with is using guns to steal and kill in my name against people who have not earned that punishment for
I'm asking
something
Monica
they
Perez.
did wrong, and that's all that I object to.
I'm asking Monica
Only
Perez.
thing I object to.
Of the things that you said, the two things, especially we'll keep with the helping other people. If I came to you and I said, this is, I think, how we should help other people, and you go, I don't agree with that at all.
Right.
Hold on a second. Doesn't make me necessarily evil, and I don't think it makes you necessarily evil. But what it means is we automatically diverge on what we consider moral at that point.
Fantastic.
And when you start putting a big government together, that's where you have teams. And that's
that's not government. That's religion.
Yeah, okay, but then we try.
That's what I'm saying is that religion and government are two different things, and you have two cultures, two separate kinds of cultures.
But you have to vote in government. You don't have to vote.
Religions. You don't have to vote. You can recognize fundamental law. I will not compromise when it comes to stealing and killing in my name.
Holy shit. We're past an hour and this is so much fun.
Oh
Holy
my gosh.
crap.
Really. I'm telling you this.
I hate to do this.
A good thing for Advil.
We have one more comment I want to say. Franny said all publicity somehow is good publicity. No, and I think we're going back to the media. I agree.
Trump wrote a book on that.
I agree, but all publicity is good publicity when you're trying P.T. Barnum, but it's not good for making decisions. Publicity is publicity. It's not knowledge, and it's not news.
Well, that's why voting is hopeless. That's why this idea of democracy just keeps people to accept fundamental injustice because you think that most people would rather have it a different way. No.
I think I'm right and most people are wrong. Is that bad?
Hey, that's completely fine. Just don't use guns against innocent people.
I agree
don't
with
use
that,
force, and especially don't say that I approved of it because I will never approve of it. Trump can say that you approve of what he's doing, but he can't. And St. Peter.
Not all of it.
I'm just saying, whenever they're using the force of government to steal from people or kill, of course, it's a fundamentally flawed system. Although I would accept, if you want to talk about compromise, I would accept restoring the Constitution. I would accept that.
Okay. I think you should run for office.
God, I found a little thing from when I was like in 7th grade or even 5th grade. It was like they asked me to fill out for school, like, what do you want to do when you grow up? And one of the questions was, what would you do if you were president? And I actually wrote in my little pencil, quit on day 1.
Did you really?
Yes. So I should find it.
I don't understand. Have you ever been active in a political campaign?
I went to march against Obamacare in DC 3 times. And my mother, I think, put me on a ballot once on a Right to Life ticket.
But I mean, have you never got behind a candidate to like help them in there? Because you seem great. You seem like locally. Have you not found anybody locally where you live that kind of, that third party?
It would not really have to be third party. I have considered that, like, as not like historically, only now as things are becoming clear to me. And I've mentioned that what I would do if I have the energy when my kids are out is to like buy a farm outside of Austin or some other place. I could agree with my husband, and then take very seriously being active in local politics to make sure that my rights are not encroached upon.
I just think
But
you would be
as
a great person on because I hate to say this, a lot of people get paralysis by analysis and they can't make a decision. I don't think you would have that problem.
Well, every decision would be judged. I would judge every decision by that basic principle, which means look at Catherine Bernard. Catherine Bernard was a delegate out of Atlanta. She was a delegate, a Republican delegate, and she cast a vote. I believe she cast her vote for Ron Paul. And they said to her, you have to cast a vote for Mitt Romney. I think this is the story. I've heard her tell it publicly, so you could clarify with her. And she said no. And they said, we will give you all the kingdoms of the world if you do what we say. And if you don't, yeah, or isn't that from the Bible?
Yeah,
and if you don't, you will never, ever get political office. And I used to support her candidacy every time she ran just for city council in her town in Georgia. She's a lawyer. She used to come on my show. I believe that her coming on my show when I filled in for Eric Erickson once, got the no-knock raid law defeated in Georgia. It was just some weird thing I filled in this day. I never filled in for him again, though. I don't know why. But so I used to support her, and boy, she never got anywhere. But she's a great lawyer and a great person, and she's very politically active, but she never. So I guess you have to compromise to get office, and
to get inside and influence anything. It seems if you don't, you're screwed.
Look at the world right now. We are in lockstep. And everyone is operating outside of the Constitution. Isn't this enough for you to realize that it's all a freaking scam?
Yes. And I keep coming back, and we can't do it right now because I got 2 more things and we got to wrap the show up.
All right, go ahead.
What do we? I get it. So
what do we do? Just fuck it. I mean,
I'm just
home. Stop working. Allow yourself to starve to death. Like that is what St. Peter is going to want you.
I got kids. I'm not doing that. That's
I understand. I understand. Let them make their own decisions and when they get older. But I'm just saying.
Until then, I'll kill other people for my.
I mean, that's what Gandhi and MLK. That's the kind of thing they said. Like, hey, that is what peaceful resistance is. Like, I'll take it.
They're not going to build a statue to me. I can tell you that.
Stop with me.
2 things. Your opinion on the Supreme Court justice. Do you have an opinion one way or the other, or does it not matter?
They intentionally picked a person who would be incredibly polarizing. I knew when I saw that she had a special needs kid, I was like, she has a kid with Down syndrome, which is adopted. The Downs kid is adopted.
No,
she adopted 2
other kids. Yeah.
No, but the other one, and that's a lightning rod for abortion because, I mean, people have actually criticized me to my face for not having an abortion because my son has Down syndrome. That was when I lived in California when Sarah Palin was on the ticket. I'm telling you, partisan politics makes people sick.
Oh my God.
They just hated her so much that they had to associate everything. That's what I was saying about Trump and wanting to censor the media.
Can you just throw Biden in every now and then to make me feel like it's just not hating Trump? Damn it.
No, I'm not hating him. I'm just saying that cult of personality,
get it.
that stuff can make people forget.
Well, I will say I agree. One thing is I do feel like we have been sucked into we're going to fight the way they've been fighting now. And now it's our turn. That does not bode well for how the political dialogue. I agree.
After Trump, you're going to have Democrats for 12 years.
But what's next even after Trump? I mean, it's going to be, how does the public debate get any better?
It's just world government. It's that once the police are up at the national level, then your issue between state and national is really going to be national versus big philanthropy, which I think
you were telling me about people
without votes.
People in California that were getting in your face about your son. So I interrupted you.
No, that's right. But that chick, Amy Coney Barrett, I can't imagine that she ever gets confirmed.
I thought she'd be an easy one.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
because they don't need a supermajority?
They're ready. They got the votes.
Oh, they have the votes? Okay,
They've got the votes. They're putting it on the fast track.
Right. Oh, okay. I have not been following the news the past couple of days. I didn't even have a show yesterday. Okay, well, I figured it'd be very polarizing. But I have to say, there's one thing that she has said that I 100% agree with, but people who are in favor of legal abortion absolutely hate this. She says, like Brett Kavanaugh said, he considers Roe versus Wade settled law. Now, Roe is totally unconstitutional. There is absolutely no right to privacy in the Constitution. If there were, you could grow your own pot and smoke it. There, and that is federally illegal, which would, I mean, I don't think state laws have to be constitutional, but federal laws do. And that federal law absolutely violates any kind of privacy that would be inherent in the Constitution. So it is bad law. And if states want to do abortions, that is where that would be, I think it's abhorrent, but it would be constitutional. If states want to legalize murder, that would be constitutional. It is constitutional. So she says bad law is not settled law. And she's an originalist. So she wants to look at the Constitution, its original meaning. And she wants to say, if it's a bad ruling, you don't have to stand by precedent, which just stands to reason. And I agree with her 100%.
They're getting ready to hammer her about being Catholic. They are going to use her religion against her as a weapon. It's already started in the headlines. They're talking about her being this religious
she's
extremist.
Charismatic Catholic, which is weird. That's a weird one.
I'm just saying, it's going to be another way to divide us.
She will. There is a good chance that she will misrepresent what I would think of as, as a traditionalist. Somebody called me that. I don't know.
They call her an Orthodox, I think, Catholic.
Oh, is she Orthodox? No, she's charismatic Catholic.
What do they call her?
Orthodox is like Greek or Russian. Charismatic Catholic.
Okay,
I believe it's charismatic, where they will sing and everything and whatever and raise their hands. I don't know. I really don't know a ton about that stuff, but that kind of smacks a little bit of Protestant kind of thing to me. And so I think that she's in a good position to misrepresent traditional Catholicism.
Well,
but whatever. I think that they're going to make it, it's going to be unpleasant. I think she was chosen deliberately for that. If abortion actually were in jeopardy as a law of the land, they wouldn't even be considering her. That there's just no way abortion's ever going to be illegal in this country.
Yeah, and I'm trying to find the term that
they should allow states to make it illegal if they want. I mean, you could talk about, it's one of the very few issues. It's a competing rights issue, like immigration. People can disagree on it.
Yeah, I can't find it, what they called her. Hey, one other topic I wanted to bring up with you before we leave. Sure. I want everybody to know where to find your podcasting gear. But did you hear about Joe Rogan podcast? Have you heard the latest on him?
All I heard was that he was moving to Austin.
He moved. It's done. Got his studio up and running. The $100 million deal with Spotify. But now there's a good sized group of Spotify employees that are threatening to boycott working if they do not have editorial license with his content because they don't like what he is saying. And they are telling Spotify that we need to edit and have edit licensing with the Joe Rogan podcast. Welcome to the big boy. I think that's going to be fun to watch.
Well,
but Joe Rogan is a badass. I hope he doesn't fall for it.
When he signed up for Spotify, he allowed them to curate the podcast that would be posted. So he allowed them to take his more controversial podcasts out of his feed.
Oh yeah. Already. But they're wanting to control what he's saying going out.
But look, he controls it himself. He backed away from the moon landing as fake because Neil deGrasse Tyson came on the show and explained it to him, blah, blah. And he has freaking Edward Snowden on and just lets him run roughshod. Edward Snowden is a fraud.
Oh, so what?
I mean, it's total fraud. Total ridiculous actor.
I would have thought you would have been. Oh, see, this is a topic. That's why I love talking to you. I would have thought you would have been like, was one of the guys that's that's opened the world up to truth.
No, I predicted exactly what he was going to do, and it's exactly what he did. I figured him out within 1 week, and I have to take my hat off to Nomadic Everyman because he got it in 1 day. Is that the way he was talking? That in that first 10-minute interview, he said, I don't care what the people decide, but what the government is doing is illegal and we need to have a conversation about it. I was like, that's just mob rule. I said, so you know what's going to happen? They're going to take those illegal practices and they're going to legalize them. And that's exactly what they did with the USA Freedom Act. That's the license they need.
So he's another pawn in the game, you think? Is he a
pawn? He's an actor. He's not even, he's so full of shit. And he was never in that Russian airport, ever. So I don't know if he's ever even in Russia.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now have a Trump edition. We got to have. I want to have a Biden, Russia, Ukraine edition. Now we got to have a Snowden edition. Oh my gosh!
Don't even get me started on Brett Kavanaugh. Bad Brett Kavanaugh.
What?
Mm-hmm. He's a Clinton shill. That's why they acted like he was a rapist, so he would get in instead of acting like a Clinton shill. Because then the Republicans would have been like, "Why do you have a Clinton shill as the Supreme Court pick for a Republican?" Brett Kavanaugh.
You young lady are a pot stirrer.
I am a researcher.
Right here, 75 minutes into
you are a pot stirrer.
I have a headache. Here's what I don't feel good.
I'm a hustler. You think I just hustled you.
You're the person that goes,
can't you tell how much
I've
better
never
I'm
played
feeling?
Pool before, but if you got $20,
yeah, I could try to figure it out.
I mean, what end of the stick do you use?
Can you tell how much better I'm feeling?
Hell yeah, I can tell. You're on your game now.
Migraines, caffeine helps migraines. So
yeah, that's why they put it in migraine medicine.
Yes, Excedrin. If I had it, but I'm traveling, see? This is not my normal setup.
You said you had migraine medicine that makes you loopy.
I have migraine medicine, which I never, ever take. But like at midnight last night, it started then. I couldn't stand it. So I took that thing and I fell asleep immediately, so I was a little worried about taking it this morning. Hey, my daughter curiously suggested, she's like, I heard THC is good for that kind of thing. I was like,
it is.
My daughter's trying to be a bad influence on me. Is it? It is? Is that what you said it is?
Yeah, I've heard. Truth Dar. And Fanny said Truth Dar.
I got Truth Dar. That's true.
Hey, speaking of Truth Dar.
I found out there's a word for that. It's called... I coined Truth Dar, but it's called discernment.
Does that make you a Truth Darling t-shirt? That's what it is.
Friend.
You're a Truth Darling.
Right.
I like that.
I love that.
You're welcome. Hey,
I'm gonna have to put that in my glossary.
Make that put that on a little, t-shirt or something. Hey, if I wanted to get a mug or a t-shirt, or if I wanted extra stuff and have some sort of Patreon parties, how do I find all of that stuff?
You are too much. Well, I will tell you. I'm going to tell you everything about my stuff.
Please.
At thepropreport.com, you can find all of my propaganda report work. With one exception. So that's my Drive Time News Blast, which is a daily show, and also all of my merch. I've got mugs, I've got stickers, I've got t-shirts. Just go to thepropreport.com. You can find all that stuff. If you just want to hear my podcast free, go to any podcasting platform, Propaganda Report feed. Please subscribe so we move up in the searches. And then if you want cocktail parties, and the Patron 15, which is 15 minutes a day of extra news, that's going to be completely commercial free going forward. You're going to have 45 minutes of commercial free not live, but commercial free news of the day, almost live at patreon.com/propaganda report. And
45 minutes every day?
Every day, 45 minutes commercial free every freaking day.
People don't understand how much time 45 minutes takes.
Yeah,
overall.
it takes, I spend 5 hours a day on it.
Yeah. It takes
5 hours a day, and it's for just so that you don't have to listen to the mainstream media. So I try to take the biggest stories of the day so that when you're sitting to dinner and your mother-in-law is yammering about who she wants to vote for, you can be like, that story.
I don't have a mother-in-law,
but
it still works.
So, and then I have to say I have a couple of video outlets too. So here you can find all of this stuff and other stuff I do on youtube.com/Monica Perez. But Binkley and I, my co-host on the Propaganda Report, just were invited to and accepted to do a Rockfin channel. Rockfin. So every week we drop a 1-hour video where his research is through the roof. And of course, so are my insights. So if you join Rockfin, which you have to pay for it, but you get Sam Tripoli with Whitney Webb, like you get a lot of guys I love, Jimmy Dore. So you get a lot of exclusive content there. But boy, am I working a lot.
Have you ever heard of Parler, which is Rumble for videos?
I never heard. Oh,
Rumble. Yeah. Dan Bongino just got into it.
Now I'm kind of exclusive on Rockfin, and so anything that I can't. I'm capacity. I've produced everything I can produce, and I cannot share the Rockfin stuff outside of Rockfin. So, but everything else you can access pretty much free.
So if you want a coffee mug, ladies and gentlemen, what if everybody just
No,
wants a
but I'll
coffee
do
mug?
if you want to move this to Rumbler or whatever.
No, I
that.
don't. I'm listen.
Happy to. What do I care?
I want to get.
I got to get off YouTube at some point.
They'll kick you off
Well,
eventually. Don't worry.
They've tried it before.
They'll do it. And I noticed your subscription, your subscribers is going up. You're almost like at 1.8 thousand people now. I want to get you to 2,000 people. So
and I'm
bad.
like, oh, me too. Me too. And it actually kicked over this week, Clint, to where I could actually monetize these videos if I wanted to. But it's like a penny a view. So I don't think it's worth it. But we'll see. We'll build it up more.
Absolutely.
We can each get like 50 cents a month in royalties.
I'll listen. Any little bit helps Clint Powell here in the South as I make a living.
Hey, yeah. So tell us about your gig because people will watch this on my YouTube channel.
Just you can go to Apple or any podcast, check out During the Break podcast. I have great conversations with interesting people. Just go look. It's an eclectic group of people. It's from business, entertainers, pro athletes. I also have marketingmixradio.com and dayfirepodcast.com where about adventures in the great outdoors from people around the world doing great things. And I'll say this about Dayfire. We too have gear that's about to come out. We have some great hats that are about to come out. But if you like camping, hiking, biking, climbing, or paddling, dayfirepodcast.com. Thank you, James and John and Franny.
I think JJ was saying that you and I should agree on what should happen. Let's work on that next time.
Yeah, I think you should just vote for Trump and be done with it. Ladies and gentlemen, on that note.
Fine, I don't care. Whatever. Until there's I
won. Ladies and gentlemen, I've now got her voting for Trump.
But the bad news is that last chopper.
Blow you up, boy. They're going to blow
last chopper out of Saigon already left.
Not me. I'm on the rail, and I got my hand down for you, Monica. Come on. Reach.
Come on. It's just a little while
it's
further.
Just one vote.
As St. Peter recedes in the distance. St. Peter.
Don't do that. I got to go pray now. Monica Perez, I hope I'm
not allowed to pray in Trump's America.
I am too. He's fighting for our churches. Hey, Monica, I love doing that. There's nothing better than pull the pin.
Oh, my headache is back. My headache.
I'm glad you're feeling better. Go smoke some Advil and get feeling better. Bye, Monica.